hey, if you're a US citizen and you want to protect your retirement and you haven't got our free ebook yet, then you're really missing out. So click on the link in the description and find out how you can secure your retirement and your future today.
Welcome back, Adam and James. It's been too long, hasn't it?
Yeah, hi
Far
Charlie,
too
how
long,
you doing?
Charlie. Far too long, love.
It has, and it's come at the right time because I was on the phone only the other day to Chella Smith, who's a very close friend of mine. And she's got a lot of people over in the United States of America that are asking for advice in America. And they said, well, you've got Adam and James in the UK, but what about us in America? Well, Adam and James specialize in showing people in America what they can do in America. And yes, you communicate them to them in the UK, yes, or they will call you, either which way. And you can talk to them about your situation and they will guide you. Now, when I say guide you, you have to understand that Adam, James, and myself have done hundreds and hundreds of hours of research to find out what is good and what is bad. And we've learned by our mistakes. And what we're doing is sharing our information that we've learned from. And it's very important because a lot of people out there have bad experiences and they don't want to tell anyone. We don't mind telling people about our mistakes because that's where you grow. We've gone through a generation now, 30, 40 years, more than a generation, where we're shamed for making mistakes. Whereas that's the time you actually learn. Now, I don't want any of our audience to have their life savings in fiat currency in the bank and lose it all. I don't want that. I want everybody to be accountable for themselves, look after themselves. And I had somebody the other day say, Charlie, but I'm insured. Yes, you are insured. Yeah. You're absolutely right. But you're only insured if the insurance company doesn't go down the pan.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they said, oh, but they're underwritten by the government. I went, whoops.
Oh, there you go.
Whoops. The government doesn't have any money. They just create this false sense of security. So go back to what we said. You are responsible yourself for you. Nobody's coming to save you. And as long as you get rid of that safety net, you will start to grow as a person and go up the ladder. When you realize that you can look after yourself. So we're
changing that mindset, Charlie, isn't it?
It is. It's changed that mindset 100%.
Look after yourself. Look after yourself. Stop relying on anything else outside of you and your family. Look after yourself. Take responsibility.
Exactly. And enemies never let you down. It's always your friends.
Yeah, yeah. At least you know the agenda of the enemy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I would probably go just one step further from what you said, Charlie, about us being able to help people in the US. People in the US have actually got a massive, massive advantage on the rest of the world. And we deal with people from all different countries. So please don't rule yourself out if you're not in the UK or not in Europe. We deal with people all over. People in the US are able to move their retirement account, their 401k, their IRA, and there's many different versions of that. Those are just a few of the main ones, into metals seamlessly. And it's a very, very easy process. They can buy gold and they can buy silver. For example, in the UK, you can try and move your retirement account, we call it a pension, into metals, but there's loads of costs. There's loads of restrictions. Like you can't buy silver, you can only buy gold in the UK. There's loads of costs for managing the investment. It only makes sense after a certain amount. And so the pot of people that we can help do that in the UK gets really, really small for moving their pension. Obviously, if you've got cash purchases, then that's fine. We can help you with that. But in the US, far easier. All these options are open to you. And there's even advantages that you don't know necessarily, like at the other end when you're coming to when you take distributions of your pension, there's even benefits at that end as well. It's a very well thought out process in the US. And yeah, just don't discount yourself. Get in contact with us and we'll tell you how it works and give you all the details and guide you through the process. But it really is very simple and very easy. And yeah, a very unique opportunity for US citizens.
It is, and all we're doing is sharing our experiences of what we've chosen to do and how it's empowered us. It's not just the financial side of security. It does an awful lot for your mental state when you're in control of yourself instead of being completely dependent on somebody else.
Yeah.
When you're depending on yourself, you learn to trust yourself.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
the other thing I would say to you is with Adam and James, especially if you're in America, they're looking at it from the outside in. All of those people in the US that are there to help you are looking from the inside out. And you get a different perspective looking into something rather than looking out from something.
I would say as well, we're customers. We're first and foremost, we are customers. Like yourself, Charlie, you are a customer of buying metals. So we're not, as we always say, we're not financial advisors. We don't give advice. We just give information, education, and our experience. And we say, this is what we do and have done and still do today. And here's why we do it like that. And it is a different perspective again from, let's say, a traditional financial advisor that would say, put your money here, here, and here, because the computer's churned out a lovely, graph or pie chart saying this is how it kind of is the best option. But they're maybe not doing that with their own money. And that's something I would always ask people. If they're telling you where to put your money, ask them, is that where they put their money?
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how many people will tell you what to do, but don't do that themselves. And we come from a different point of view. We say, look, this is what we do. People ask us about all different types of investments, and they say, what are your thoughts on this? And we say, that's not what we do for ourselves. So I can give you my thoughts on it, but it's going to be very vague. And it's not my experience. It's just kind of what I've seen from a very zoomed out approach. But with precious metals, we do it. We eat, breathe, sleep, live it. We're always looking at the charts. We're messaging each other when things change. And we've been doing it for many years now.
We stay in our lane, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just tell you what we actually know and do for ourselves. So I guess, look, if you want an honest opinion from our experience, then, get in contact with us and we'll tell you. And also, occasionally, very occasionally, some people have contacted us and said, look, this is my situation. And we've said, maybe it's not the best idea for you to buy metals right now. If they've got a lot of debt, or people even said to us, do you think gold's going to go up in the next 6 months? If so, I'm going to buy some gold on my credit card. I'm going to take a loan out to buy metals. And we've said, probably not the best option, probably not the best thing to do. So we'll be honest with you in that sense as well. But ultimately, it's your decision. But we've made a lot of mistakes and we've learned from those mistakes. And we want to pass those lessons that we've learned on to other people as well.
We've got a duty of care, Charlie, haven't we? And I say this to people all the time, to customers. We've got a duty of care to do what's best by you. In regard to your personal situation, because everyone's in different situations, and not everyone can do what we do. So it just depends. People are so unique, aren't they? Yeah. They're so very individual. So we try and help people with their specific situations and make sure that they're on the right path as best we can without telling them, what to do. We just try and guide them. But I spoke to a lady just the other day where she was, did we speak or email contact? But she really didn't have that much at all. I think she was struggling to just keep her head above water. So we had to say to her, well, this might not be best for you right now. Just sort your own finances out, get them right first. And then maybe, because you don't want to be buying metals today and selling them tomorrow, because you'll lose out short term.
Sure.
Metals are a long-term investment, and we must say this every single day, Adam, don't we? Bore people to death saying it, but it's a long-term investment. It's not a buy today, sell tomorrow. Unless the price is shot up tomorrow, of course, you were lucky and it went through the roof tomorrow, then great. But It's a long-term investment. So for her situation, it probably wasn't best for her right now, today. But it's nothing stopping her from buying the odd coin here and there, as long as she knew she wouldn't have to sell it next week, you know?
Yeah.
So
I would say on the flip side of that, some people discount themselves from being able to buy metals as well. So we because we deal with, over the years, we've dealt with literally thousands of customers. So we see a whole range of people's predetermined ideas of whether they should be buying metals, shouldn't be buying metals, you know, what they should be buying, etc., etc. And a lot of people think that you need to have millions of pounds or thousands of pounds, or and you really don't. We started buying €50 a month
50,
on our journey.
a month,
and we just added like a monthly savings plan to buy €50 a month. And then as our confidence grew in what we were doing, then we would slowly increase it. But you can do it from €50 a month. You can do it less than that if you wanted to. So please don't discount yourself. If
most
you think
people can do something.
Yeah.
Most people that come to us can do something, you know. But so many people speak to us initially and say, "Oh, I'm not a big fish." We hear that all the time. I'm not a big fish. You're probably not interested in us. We'll always say, "We are interested in you. We'd rather help you." You know, we'll help everybody, of course, but you know, we love helping people that haven't got much, because you know, people that were in the same position as us initially, maybe. You know, because we didn't have much initially at the very beginning, really.
This time, it's also very wise for me to mention that there's an AI Charlie out there with my voice trying to sell crypto, and I don't sell crypto.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've taken my voice, and the only thing is, it sounds very robotic, but you can hear the tone of my voice, which they've taken to create these adverts to sell crypto. I don't sell crypto. I don't promote crypto. I've always been an advocate of gold and silver, because I'm 63 years old, and it makes sense to me, metals, and it has done for 50 years. It made sense because it's continued to grow and it hasn't let me down. There's been highs and lows, yes, but as an average over the years, it has gone up consistently, and I don't need to make millions every day. I just want to make a little bit every day, and it just grows. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. I have to convince my wife not to look every day, but to look once a year and see what it's gone up over a year. Otherwise, one day you can be mega excited, and then the next day you can go, "Oh no."
Yeah. And that's where people go wrong, Charlie. That's from our experience too. That's where people go wrong initially, I think. Like Adam always says, if you check your account one day and the price has shot up, if you're not selling, call off the party. You know, if you're not selling, it doesn't matter. Call off the party. If the prices are down, you know, they've shut down that day. If you're not selling again, then it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
I have a piece of...
The only two prices that matter is the one you buy at, the one you sell at. It can do whatever it wants in the middle.
In between.
And it will. Yeah. It'll go up, it'll go down. And I think you're totally right, Charlie, in looking at it checking it on a longer term scale, because otherwise you'll ride the emotional roller coaster of the price each day. And it's not good. It's not, but it's
not good for your mental state, is it? It's not good for your mental state. I think that's why we, out of all the things we could have invested in back then when we started out, that's why we stuck with precious metals, I think. Because precious metals have always been solid. Gold, especially, it's always been like your best friend that's stable and solid and always there for you. The safest thing you could ever invest in, really, when you look at all these other investments.
I've had things that suddenly the price, somebody comes to me and say, "You know that's worth this now." And I said, "Well, it's irrelevant because I'm not selling it."
Yeah,
exactly.
You hear it a lot when people go, "Oh, my house has doubled in value." So what?
Yeah.
So what does it matter if you're not going to sell it?
Exactly.
It only becomes relevant when you're going to sell it. That becomes relevant. If you're just going through life watching highs and lows, this is where you get anxiety from and frustration from.
Yeah.
Whereas if you want peace and joy, live for today, live for now. If you live in the past, you'll live with regret. If you live in the future, you'll live with the anxiety of not knowing.
Yeah.
Live for today, find peace and happiness and joy.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point, Charlie, because there's so many people we speak to again that have been involved in the crypto side. And I'm not knocking crypto because I'm involved in crypto personally. Adam has some too, don't you? I think.
Mm-hmm.
But we speak to so many people that because crypto's so volatile, it can be down, it can be sky high one minute and then down at the floor another minute. People emotionally, it sends them all over the place.
Yeah,
It's
it
tough.
does. It does. And when you're talking about gold and silver, the other thing that made me smile the other day, because gold and silver switching is a good thing.
I helped a lady just a few days ago, Charlie. She was well chuffed.
Yeah.
I think it's like 1,139 grams of silver she made for free.
Yeah.
And that's just one of her switches, a little switch that was. And so because she saw the results, I showed her how to realize the results, to see where she was. From silver to gold and then back to silver. Look, and you've got this much more silver now. And she was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because she's seen the full process, you see, the full cycle. Because she's seen now the full cycle, she's gone, oh, wow, it does work. I think she knew it worked anyway, but seeing it has made that
seeing
difference.
Is believing, isn't it? Once you've seen it
Yeah.
happen, then
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's just a whole nother level. Just on switching and what you were saying before, Charlie, about people living in the past and regret and all that kind of thing. Some people, and we've been guilty of it initially ourselves, when they're switching, we just say, look, pick 2 points that you're switching at. When they occur, do the switch, and that's it. Walk away and look for your next switch. But it's very tempting to go, oh, yeah, but it went so much further. I could have done ...
Yeah.
So what happens is then next time they go, well, it's hit my mark, but I think it's going to go a bit lower like it did last time. And they hang on and they hang on and hang on, and it turns around and goes back up, and they miss the opportunity. So with all of this, you have to be a little bit disciplined and just be like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm happy with that, and not get too drawn in with what you could get or could do, because
I'm that person. I'm that person that I bought Bitcoin when they were $1.
Yeah, wow.
But I sold it when they were $500.
There you go.
And people said to me, I bet you wish you'd hung on to them. I said, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that I did 500 times my money.
Yeah.
Very happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard a few very kind of successful people, and they've been asked the question, they've sold their business and, had a large amount of capital, and people have said to them, oh, looking back on your journey, you've been building this company for 10 years, 20 years, whatever. Is there anything you'd do different? And they were like, absolutely not. I've just sold my business for multiple hundreds of millions. Of course I wouldn't do anything different. Like, this was a success. This was what I wanted. And yeah, they're happy with what they've done. And I think there's definitely something to be said for just being happy with the results that you've got.
Definitely,
sure.
Definitely.
The other thing that's very, very interesting that we're going through right now, and I'm going to make a point about this because it frustrates me, but it's very valuable. The world for years has been driven by greed. And greed will kill you. We've seen many, many people who heard about Nasara Jasara who went out and took out massive mortgages and loans on cars for debt forgiveness. Now, it'll come at the right time, but it won't be forgiveness. It'll be just wiped out. It's not forgiven because you can't be forgiven for something that's fraudulent, that's done by them. You don't need the forgiveness, they do. But this is where greed kicked in. And it's amazing because I was asked the question. I haven't had a mortgage since I was 23. You could go out and buy anything you want, Charlie, on a house and a boat and a mortgage, a plane, whatever. You could do that, but I didn't. I could have done, but I didn't. I cut my cloth according to what I was happy. And what's the point in going out and borrowing a fortune of money and then paying the bank back double or triple for it? I don't see the point. On the basis that it's going to be forgiven later on. Yeah, great. But then when you have got it, will you be happy?
Yeah.
So I know with my life, that a lot of the things that I chased all my life, when I got them after a couple of days, and probably the biggest one of that was the boats that I had in my life. There's two great days that you have a boat: the day you buy it and the day you sell it. And nobody ever told you the amount of work that goes into maintaining a boat, clean, staffed, and everything else. So,
yeah,
no, it's a really good point, that, Charlie, because I've seen that in people, and I've felt it myself many years ago, and I saw it before the 2008 recession. The greed, the people jumping on that bandwagon thinking they're going to buy a house. It doesn't matter what they pay for it. Use funny money to pay for it, and then next week it's going to be doubled and trebled or whatever. And everyone's jumping on this bandwagon. And the greed. I've seen it in people over the last few years. It changed people, certain people.
Yeah.
And I can feel it in myself sometimes, but I knock it into touch and think, oh no. I think sometimes you think, is that it? You've got that thing, you've bought that boat or that car, and you think, oh, is that it? It doesn't make you feel good. But guess what? If you went and helped some charity or helped some people on the street or bought them some food, or that makes you feel absolutely amazing. I know it sounds fluffy and whatever else, but that makes you feel far better than getting some posh car or some posh boat or whatever. You get so much more back from that, don't you?
You do.
Who's it that said that you should be fearful when people are greedy and greedy when people are fearful? And, you know, I think, like you said, James, when 2008 was going on, people just thought that property was just going to go on forever and thought you could buy any old tin shack and next week you could sell it and make a huge profit. And that's the time when you think, hang on a minute, this is a worrying time. Do you know one thing that we've always looked at? We've always zoomed out and looked at what central banks are doing, not what they're saying, but what they're doing. Don't look at the way their lips move. Look at how their feet move.
Yeah.
And I was looking the other day, and central banks, particularly Russia and China, buying record amounts of metals, and they're trying to move away from the dollar as much as possible. Their reliance on the dollar, and there's a big shift going on. It's a big thing to turn around, so it's going to take some time. But there's definitely people moving away, countries moving away from the dollar, and you can see that with the central banks, how they're backing themselves with metals. That we find that very interesting because that usually sets a trend. These are the really big buyers, and it has a knock-on effect.
There's something very valuable there, and this is where you get a very warm feeling inside and a big smile on your face when you realize that the Clintons, the Bushes, and the Obamas stole all of that gold from the Federal Reserve, and it was stored under building 6 or 7 in New York, which disappeared the day before it collapsed or the week before it collapsed. They stole all that gold. But what they did with that gold was they sold it for US dollars to Russia and China on the cheap. So Russia and China got clever. They bought it. And of course, you're looking at the Bushes, the Obamas, the Clintons, who've got an abundance of US dollars. Now, as the old fiat currency goes to zero, their wealth goes to zero. And those that are holding the gold and silver, China and Russia, have a very big smile on their face.
I think they're playing the long game. Russia and China are playing the long game.
Oh, yeah.
China,
they've been
China
for this a long time.
and Russia are the grand masters of the long game.
China
got into every country around the world 40, 50, 60 years ago. They were coming into the countries quietly, opening up.
That's why we're concerned about our friends over the water in the US. That's why we're concerned about them and their retirement funds, because this is a massive. What's happening right now is going to be, we truly believe, is going to be a massive knock-on effect. For the dollar and their retirement funds. Well, I know we talk about retirement funds a lot, but that's people's nest egg, isn't it? That's their lifeline. That's the biggest thing.
And it's usually as well. It's usually the biggest amount of value other than someone's property, let's say,
Yeah.
that they have. It's usually
Yep.
people's property and their retirement are the two big things. And obviously you need somewhere to live, and you could sell your house, but you know, that whole thing has its own situation. But with your retirement account, you usually can't touch it until a certain point. So it's kind of just sat there. The decision you can make is what it's invested in.
Sure.
And we've kind of shown many times that paper assets in times of uncertainty don't do well. And if you think there's going to be more uncertainty in the future, which we do, then we want to move out of anything that's going to be affected and lock in something that is solid, that is going to, you know, you're looking after it now, and it's going to look after you in the future if you do it right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you very, very much. That was great information and great advice. And I look forward to seeing you. I've got you again next week, which I'm looking forward to again.
Yeah, we'll see you then.
See you then, guys.
Sounds good. Thanks, Charlie. See you.
You take care, Charlie, lad.